Okay. Testing, testing. Way too loud. Let's turn down that audio a little. Try that. Test, test, test. I hope that is good. I think it's still peaking out. G'day Emma, how you going? Is my audio better today? Please tell me it is so. Right, okay, that's full size, everything's big, that looks good. Right, the skull's going to go in front of everything, that's what we wanted. Me and my skulls, that's exactly right. Yeah, girlfriend. Yeah. Hi, Jody. How you going? Shout out to Jody. Alrighty, so I'm going to get started in a sec. I just sort of just mucking around a little bit, making sure I got everything right. If I look down, am I seen? That'll have to do. Maybe I should tilt that down a touch. Yeah, I think that should all be pretty good. What's the lighting like? Is that better than it was the other day? Oh, that's right. I've got a battery for a light. I've just got to go grab it. One sec. coffee, so will not spill on the drawing tablet. Okay. So I think I've improved a lot on the last one. I have indeed, and I'm happy with that. Improvement is good. Uh-oh. Hang on. I'm in trouble here. Tangled up. Oh, that's a problem. That's okay. I can live with that. Okay, so, who's Tabitha? Are you going shopping? Where are you shopping at? Alright. Now, first things first, because of the way that this is swinging around from here somewhere, I'm not completely happy with that. I'd like to try and figure that out. But I won't bore everyone straight away with that. That's good enough for now. So, what are we going to do with this skull? We're going to do some sculpture. That's terrible, isn't it? So this is a skull that I've modified quite a lot already. If you look on Thingiverse at the skull, if you just search for skull and find one very similar to this, the popular one that everybody downloads, you'll find that the bottom of the nose is kind of munted and doesn't really look all that good. So there's that. Now what I would like to do today is to somehow create a form on the back of the skull that when it's printed hollow, it lights up. So you can look through the eyes and there is a thing on the back. Now I'm going to show you something just quickly. If I switch over to surface mode, which is a very difficult little switch to switch, you little turd. There we go. I can go in and I can choose a stencil. Now, for want of a better stencil, I'm going to choose the Wu-Tang one. And make it big. I'm going to stick it on the back of the head. And it didn't work very well. Let's play with a few things. We've got the fall off good. Check the wireframe. The wireframe's nice and fine. That's how refinement settings doing. Refinement is enabled, but it's not up to full quality. That's looking better. But I don't know, maybe I want it better again. Now, the other thing I want to do is go and hollow this skull first. Hollow. And I'm going to set the wall thickness to, say, 4mm. No, actually, no, hang on. How are we going to do this? The darker bits are going to be sticking out. I'll figure that out in a sec. Alright, 2mm is probably a good amount of offset. Let's just go with, let's think that through. Yeah, the skull needs to be at least... Oh look, no, let's try 1mm. No, that won't work. 2mm. Why is it not showing us the hollow? Okay, so it's now hollow. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go edit, separate shells. So now I've got that inner void is now separated from the outer one. And we've just got the inner one here. That's that. So that's like a 2mm offset of the other shape. Now it's on this inner surface on the back of the skull that I want to work with. So I'm just going to flip the whole thing inside out for a sec. So I'm going to go select all by pressing Ctrl A, flip normals. That's turned it inside out. It needed to be, well actually I've turned it the right way around, kind of. That was the inside surface. Now it's an outside surface. So that black was showing the back facing triangles. Oh, Tabsy housemate, cool. So now it's kind of, it's no good as a void anymore because it's inside out. But anyway, the point is that I'm now able to cut a bit off it. I'm just going to center on the back of the, why won't you work, Mr. ViewCube? It's interesting, some of the functions just don't behave as if you clicked it with a mouse. I'm just going to slice a bit of a chunk off the back of the head. Whoa! 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 That's better. Y for separate? Hang on, why has the camera gone all munted? What happened to you, Mr. Camera? You got bumped, didn't you? Big time bumped. Knocked off course. So we've chopped the back off. Oh man. This object browser shits me off. It gets itself into places where it can't move out of. And then you can't move the bloody thing. I can't scroll that fucking thing. Why can't I scroll that? That's just redonkulous. Now I can't, unless I shorten these names, there's no way I can see the little eyeballs. Okay, now I've just got the back of the head showing. That's what we wanted. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to select, S for select. Well, I've got my mouse. Where's my pen? Oh, is it going to keep rolling under this thing? Yes, it is. That's annoying. Alrighty. So, I'm going to make a selection. Oh, symmetry's kind of possibly even actually on point. Yeah, I think the symmetry is actually pretty on point. Anyway, we're just going to try and aim to oopsie daisies. You want to stay away from those edges. I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller. Oh damn, I hate when that happens. The tools went away. What I'm doing is I'm going to select the region that I'm happy to increase the number of triangles on. That's going to be our image area. Actually, you know what? It's not a big enough image area. And that wasn't cut straight. So I'm just going to join them back together. So I'm going to go U and hit the Shift key and U, combine, close, correct. Now that's back exactly how it should be. just going to cut a bigger chunk off. That's better. Now I can sort of select the whole back of the head. And what I'm aiming to do is remesh that to increase the triangle count. Why am I using the mouse? I don't know. Understand. Alright, so that's pretty good. I'm going to hit R for remesh. It's on adaptive density at the moment. I'll put the wireframe on so I can see it. It's actually done the opposite of what I wanted it to there. What we really want to do, I think relative density will go up fine. Let's see. Nope. What we want is tiny, tiny, tiny triangles. Now if I go again, will it let me go smaller or is it going to redo that? I gotta get a bit confused here. Yeah, excellent. Now I can go tiny. We want really, really, really fine mesh. And I'm only doing the section that I'm planning on working on because the more triangles you have, the slower the computer goes. I nearly dipped the microphone in the coffee. That would be bad. You still there, Emma, or have you gone shopping? Alright, that looks like a pretty fine mesh. And again with the pen rolling onto the table. She's chugging. If I turn the wireframe off it might help, but then I won't be able to see what I'm doing. It shows selecting a lot of triangles. Right, I'm just sort of going to cheat a little bit. Since that's chugging so much. And I'm going to go create face group. I need to press the space bar and click on that icon. Oh, you can't see the icon because everything's in the way. Sorry. You hold down the space bar and you'll see an icon. Why is my thumb in the way? There's an icon here that you toggle between these two here on the right, if you can see with my pen there. Okay, now that's created some face groups for me. Now I'm going to just get rid of this wireframe because it's annoying. And I'm going to go around and I'll probably use my mouse for this. Okay. Somehow it's missed a spot there. I don't know how it's missed those spots, so I'm just going to hold down the control key and roll my mouse wheel out a little bit. Just get them manually. Alright, I'll just toggle the view back to that one. Okay, now I'll just check that out. What I was aiming to do then was to just kind of not quite, I want to fade these triangles in a little bit. I'm just being a fussy bastard. But now I'm going to go Edit, Remesh. I'm going to go one step finer. Now I know this seems silly, but it all will make sense. I'm actually going to save it after I've done this too. This is going to take ages, I'm sorry. We've just got to crank that up. Because I won't be able to do the fine detailed sculpting that I want to do with the triangles being large. And these triangles were already small, by the way. And obviously, the smaller they are, the more of them there are. And the reason it matters is because for it to bend the mesh, it's got to have enough triangles to bend smoothly, otherwise it ends up looking like a paper crane. Might just put that in front. That way you can see my hands no matter what the mesh is doing. I've just got to go and take this call at 1 sec. Okay, part of the interruptions, anybody that's watching, I just had a customer call through wanting to get a quote for a model, and I was going to get her to jump onto the live stream, and then my phone died. So, yeah, if you're watching this, mate, I'll turn my phone back on in a minute, and you can call me back. It was a private number, so I can't call you, but hopefully my phone will have enough zap to turn on in a sec. It's still on 0, so we'll just give it a minute and hopefully I won't forget. So I'm just going to get on with what I was doing in the meantime, just to keep the stream rolling. Okay, that's made it a bit finer. I'm just going to accept that and we'll try it as it is. So yeah, again, if you've just found the channel now, to the person that just called, sorry I didn't catch your name. And thanks Julian for the reference as well. So it's going to be a miniature from a website called Morpheus.com. Anyway, so that's done. I'm going to clear that selection, and now I can get on with the sculpting. Now I think I need to invert the mesh again, back inside out. So we go edit, flip normals. I don't know why that's not in the modify drop down. Doesn't make sense. Anyway. Alright, now we're looking at the inside of it. That's the bit we want to sculpt. We want to sculpt that surface, and whoa, that is wacky trying to control that. Okay, so we're going to get the sculpt tool. We'll get our Wu-Tang brush. I'll make it massive. Oh, don't tell me it's not big enough. Oh yeah, that's good. I was going to say I don't have to resize the whole skull. And we don't want it in mirror mode. Did that work? We will see. Well, that worked. It's still not as refined as I would like it to be, though. I really would like to see a smoother edge. Oh yeah, that's better. Let's crank that one right up. And then there's all these things like spacing and whatnot that in theory I could use so that I could draw a line of Wu-Tangs around the place. And that's not what I'm going to do. I'm just using this as a test. I'm actually going to Google another image. Now back to the person that was just ringing. My phone seems to have just had enough juice to turn on now. So if you found my channel and whatnot, just call me back because I'll be able to accept your phone call now. And you can type in the chat, by the way, as well. Voicemails. Alrighty. Anyway, back to this. So that, in theory, should give me a cross-section that will work. So I've essentially made something somewhat like a lithophane on the inside of this part. And when I make that skull visible, you'll see there's going to be like a thin wall, the shape of our little Wu-Tang. You know, I might just, since I've already knocked this up, I might just knock it up and print it. Why not? Hey? So all that's left to do is to join that back together. Why is this running so fucking unbelievably slow? So now I've got to flip this one, Control A, flip normals. Now they're both facing inside out. Select them both with the shift select, combine them, and then hit close cracks. Then turn that one back on and shift click them. And hit combine. So now we've got an inside out inner skull and a right way out normal skull. So therefore the inside of the void inside where the brain would live is the right way around. If that makes sense. I'm just going to turn off this shader. And then I'll just do a plain cut. And we should see, if everything went to plan, of course I cut it in a spot where you can't hardly tell. That's thicker there than it is in the other spots. And that was our plan. So in theory, we're going to have a visible Wu-Tang word. Now maybe I should have made that less than 2mm offset. I don't know. It's possible that that is not enough. I'm just going to undo that plain cut. It's possible that that's not enough, but that's a starting point. That's a really good starting point. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I finally got all the skills to be able to do it. So I'm pretty happy with that. Oops, I meant to cancel that, sorry. Whoops. Boom-ba-doom. Cancel. Alrighty. I'm happy with that. Thank you very much for watching that part of it. Now that what we're up to is putting some holes in the eye sockets. I'm going to hit the select tool. I'm going to hit symmetry. I'm going to use the sphere brush. I'm going to bring the size down. The reason I'm using the sphere is because I want it to penetrate through. I want my selection. Oops. Little tip, do small sections and let go periodically, because that way if you stuff it up, your undo button's a lot more useful to you. Okay, so we are going to have some areas to unselect in a second. That's okay. Just trying to sort of select up to a nice, neat sort of point. Slightly overdid it there. Just lifting the pen periodically because I'm trying to do these really fine little bits and it's very easy to stuff them up. And we remember we're selecting through this wall and we're selecting into the other one because we're using our sphere brush. So it's actually like sticking, it's going through things. The unwrap brush won't go through stuff, it'll just wrap around the edges. Alrighty, I'm pretty happy with that selection. Now I'm just going to hit B for boundary, and that's going to smooth my selection out. Hang on, before I do, I'm going to switch to the unwrap brush, and I'm going to use my eraser, which is the back of it. I've programmed it so that the back of the pen is the eraser, and you'll see that's not going to deselect the bits that I wanted selected there. It's only deselecting the bits that are on the outside of the skull, where I don't want it selected. Just want to make sure we don't have any triangles selected at all that we don't want selected. Alright, that's pretty good. We can kind of sneak peek, if I sidle up beside it and then swing it around, we can kind of get inside the head and have a bit of a look too. What we might do here is give this a little bit of a clean up as well while we can, because we're, actually look, that's going to be a pain. What I'll do is I'm going to separate it for a second now and hide the rest, and then I'm going to get in and I'm going to make a new selection on these back of eyeball pieces. Because I don't want it to select that junky bit just there. That's kind of garbage. I want to get as close as possible to the original selection, just without that garbage in there. So I'm still going to just treat this differently. So what I'm trying to do ultimately is cut out a nice chunk out of the back of the eyes that you can see through. It's kind of all we really want out of this exercise. We'll be able to see through the back of the eyes. We're not going near the edge. See how it's near the edge over there? Oh no, it's not too, yeah, that's pretty good, that's okay. Can live with that. And now I'm going to go modify, optimize boundary in case there's a few triangles out of place, and then smooth boundary. And now look at that, we get a nice smooth thing. I'm actually going to crank up that smoothness and down the shape preservation and up the iterations. Maybe not that many iterations. I'm just going to reduce the border rings a little bit. We don't want the border rings to mesh into where it goes outside the edges. Alright, that should be okay, I reckon. I hope. No, that's munted. Okay, undo. I got too fancy. What I might actually do is... what am I going to do? Hold control and roll the mouse wheel and make my selection a little bit bigger. Check that it doesn't go all the way to the edges. It doesn't. Excellent. I'm going to remesh it using linear subdivision. Crank that up. And accept it. I'm going to hold control down and roll my mouse wheel in a little. Get away from that edge. And then I'm going to hit B for boundary. And then I can do up with the smoothness, down with the shape preserve, and hopefully we won't end up with anything too badly munted. That looks pretty damn good. Alrighty, so I'm going to separate those and hide them. And then I'm going to make the rest of things visible. I'm going to go U, hide. Hold on a second. Hide you, Mr. Skull. That's right, we need to do edit, separate shells. U and U. Combine and hide. That we want to hide for a second. And that one we want to hide for a second. That's all one piece. So that's more or less what we're after. Okay, so now we want to join that bit back to that bit. So U and U, combine. Close cracks. That's all joined back together again. We've got this beautiful, nice, smooth hole. It seems quite organic, which is good. And then we've now got to cut out the equivalent bit from that other one. I might just do a quick separate shells and take the outer casing of the skull off. Back to that again for a sec. That kind of gives us a pretty good view of those. And I'm just going to quickly flip that because it's annoying trying to look at the back of the triangles. And I'm going to hide my triangles. Why are you backwards? Oh, I've got the wrong bit selected. There we go. Alrighty, so now we want to select on the inside of that bit a nice area. And we want it to roughly correspond with what's behind it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we want it to be somewhat corresponding. Actually, escape, U, Shift U, combine. That's going to make my symmetry work. Control A, Control, roll the mouse wheel in. For remesh, crank up that linear subdivision, accept it, select, and I will just quickly, oh, that didn't do anything. What happened there? Actually, you know what? They're probably going to be a different color anyway. That's all probably unnecessary. They will end up being a different color when I join them back onto the outer skull, I think. If they are, which I believe they will be, they'll be easy to reselect. Yep, excellent. Close those cracks. Because we sort of like that original selection in the first place. So I'm just going to go now and select by double clicking those regions. And that brings us back our very original selection, which we were happy with in the first place. And we will now hit B for boundary. We're going to tell it to not preserve group borders. That's sexy. Hello, Mr. Mycosis. How you going? Okay, that's pretty good. Happy with that. And we're going to hit Y for separate. So we're basically just chopped out... What's wrong bit? We've chopped out the eyes, and we can look in the back and see our Wu-Tanginess. Now I'm going to just flip that inner shell. And flip the normals back to how it should be. Because that is the outside of the model. And I'm going to hide this color garbage. Is my sound better? Okay, so we can look through inside the skull and we can see Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang! Now, here's the interesting bit. I now have to bridge between these two surfaces. Okay. Now, a way to do that might be to actually duplicate that. And duplicate that. Combine those. And with a bit of luck, oh no, it's not going to work because when I go to do that and then hit B for bridge, no, yeah, I knew that wouldn't work. Okay. Let me think. No. I know. Combine those. Select all. Create an offset. That's going to come pretty close to making my hole cutter. Basically, you've just got to make sure that this offset engulfs, whoops, wrong way. Got to make sure my offset engulfs this one here. And then I'll make another offset that engulfs this. And then I've basically made myself a tool. And I can delete this back part, I don't need it. Because that gives me a way to do it symmetrically. Below my mouth. Buzzy for some reason. Okay. Should I turn the mic input volume down? I am spiking into the red. That would, when I talk, it just spikes up to a little bit in the red. If I do that, it doesn't spike into the red anymore. Is that better? Da 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 da. Cool. Thanks for the tips. Yes, I should pay more attention to the chat when I stream, absolutely. I was almost going to drag the chat over onto this screen over here, but it was hard. Okay, so that was way too far. Let's go with minus 3 millimeters. Because then that should chop out a nice little hole. Ooh, it's just starting to smidge through there. That's a problem. That's okay, it's not something that we can't fix. I'm going to hit A for accept. And just make it so I can see those for a second. I'm going to do another offset. Ooh, I'm going to save this. Okay. So now when I've got that selected, it is just showing through there, but we can do something about that. We can just probably actually just thicken this a little bit. Oh, I'm going to go bonkers if this pen keeps rolling under here. was after. But it's done the job, but it just looks ugly. So I'm going to undo that. Switch back over to our So we're just sort of thickening that bit of skull there. To pull it out and away. Just holding my finger down to use the smooth feature that I've locked onto the button. There's a little button on there. Alright, so now we have a shape that should hopefully delete a shape from the shape that we want to delete the shape from. Go back to edit. I'm going to select this guy. I'm just going to hide that for a sec. One thing I notice is that this has got some shitty berry edges on it. They probably won't matter much, but the wireframe's possibly all munted, which it is. I'm just going to cheat and I'm going to go edit, make solid, accurate, crank up the mesh density and the solid accuracy. I said them backwards. Update that. Probably still up a bit high in the mic gain. Cool, it's good that it's loud enough, that's good. I'll bring it down to there. It's going to yellow, it's sort of going halfway up the yellow. Bring it down a little bit more. Should I be aiming for like just peeking out at the top of the green? Okay, so that's done. That should make a good tool. I'm just going to make that invisible for a second. What else have we got? We'll make those two invisible because they're not relevant anymore. Oh no, they needed to be. They're the other ones were just hidden. They're the originals. There. Okay, we've got the skull. We've got the inner bits. We've got the outer bits. So that, hide for a second. That and that need to be combined. They want their cracks closed. And then that and that need to be combined. Have their cracks closed. Peek out on the green. Didn't like closing those cracks there. See that? There's some sort of little error there. Sometimes that happens. Let's just see what the old analysis inspect does. That's patched it. That's patched it. That was all that there was wrong. Okay, that's good. Now let's just try. I'm going to save this because this could crash. Let's try taking that and this. Use that as a tool to cut that. Edit. Boolean difference. Everyone cross your fingers. Jump up and down. Hold your breath. You don't have to, but there's probably a million other ways I could have done this. But I wanted it to be a very natural shaped hole. I didn't want to lose my symmetry and have to do it again. So that sort of made sense. When things take this long, it's often not a good sign. We may get a crash here. I probably should have peeked around the corner to see if it was sticking through. It might have been touching this side, around the side on the temple there. We'll find out soon enough. Yep, sure was. It was munted. I reckon it's touching the temple just there. Cancel that. Okay, so the simple solution for that is just to hide those for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go select you and you. I'm going to roll that selection right out to completely away from it. Give you some panda eyes. I'm going to chop that off for a second and just get it out of the way. And we kind of had to do the same thing for this one, but it's a bit hard to grasp that manually. Hopefully that's selecting. Yeah, it seems to be. Almost. No, what I've got. Interesting. Hang on a second. That's why I did that. It was in the wrong one. So I'm just selecting the region where it's going. It must have gone all munty in there. I'm just going to just sort of roughly chop that in. What we were trying to do is we're trying to remesh the areas that we need to, that are kind of intersecting with that cruddy bit. I'm just going to create a face group out of those. I'm going to bring the rest of the skull back. join that to that to that, combine them, Yeah, the mic keeps on rocking forwards. Ah, that's better, I think. It doesn't want to go down any more than that without it sitting too far forward and then falling off my head. I think the mechanism to stop it from sliding in and out has gotten a little bit worn over time, so I might need to just take that up. Okay, close some cracks. I just want to get inside there and have a look. So I'm going to select that bit and remesh it. And I'm not going to do linear subdivision because the triangles will still be in the same spot. Actually, hang on. Cancel that. I'm going to select that bit and then I'm going to roll that selection out a bit so that we no longer got those same edges. Then I'm going to remesh it. And I'm going to choose, we'll choose adaptive density. That'll do. Okay. Now we'll get out of there. I'm going to do the same thing on here. See what the issue possibly is. See this line here? That line could have been the issue before. So we're just trying to get rid of that line. Remesh that. Now hopefully it should remember the setting from last time. That's good. Excellent. And you'll see in a second that we've gotten rid of that line of our selection. Which is nice. That's what we want. Okay, now let's try our solid. It doesn't seem to be touching anything. Turn off the wireframe for a sec. Just going to save that again. If that doesn't work, I'm just going to just jiggle it a bit. Might be moving faster. Could be a good sign. The other thing I can do is just sort of soften the edges on that part a touch. It could be moving a bit better. While it's doing that, I'm just going to grab a drink of water. good sign. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm just going to try and get some more engagement. Give me a second. Okay, it's failed. Yeah, same thing again. It's almost worked, but it's taking chunks out of this bit. Okay, so it's kind of somewhere in there, it just does not like it. Okay, cancel, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hide that. I'm going to sculpt them. Just going to go live on Instagram. minimize that, bring up OBS again. Alright, we're good. Now I'm going to get the sculptor tools. I'm going to pick the robust smooth tool. We've got our symmetry on. Slow this down a little bit. And I'm just going to smooth that edge. That's probably all it's going to take. It's a bit freezy still. So I'll just flick the wireframe on. I'll just set it to reduce a little bit. There's plenty of triangles there. And it will probably help it behave a little bit quicker if I reduce it. So since I've smoothed that side, I reckon that we'll get a better result. Let's turn the wireframe off again. Make our spot visible. Whoops. You and you. Boolean difference. Come on. Just poof. Poof. Instagram, you've got some funny filters. The Instagram filter makes it look like I'm underwater. Just chilling in the water. Alrighty, so this might not have worked either. Let me know if you're there in the chat. Just tell me who's there. Say hello. Give me a hi. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. Yeah, I'm getting some texts. Oops, I hope I didn't lose my Instagram live stream just then. It probably paused. Okay. If I click cancel, it will hopefully not crash. we're going to have to do a little more than that. There's obviously some areas in there that need tackling. Oh yeah, wasn't happy about that. Okay, I'm going to actually hide that one. Select that and separate them. Oh, wrong bit. And I'm going to smooth the bejesus out of this bit, because I think that might be where my problem's coming from. So I'm going to go and hit the sculpture tools, and I'm going to go with shrink smooth this time. And my pen has rolled under my tablet yet again. What can I do about that? I've got to do something about it. It's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. I'll be back in a second. I'm not going to deal with that one more second long. Oh, here we go. That'll stop it, I hope. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm actually going to just quickly separate shells, because I don't want the outer skull getting affected by this by accident. Just making sure I don't have that selected. I've got that selected. Then go into the sculpt tool, and I can knock myself out, and I can smooth all this bullshit away. Now I've got to be careful not to make that stick out through the other model. Alrighty, let's try that again. Go back to edit. Oh. Combine those two. Let the computer finish thinking about it. Come on. How long does it take to join two things together? Combine them. And then we can close the cracks. So phase grips are a great way to separate things and then put them back together again, because it will use the same line. They should, in theory, stitch back up without any issues forming. Am I actually live on Instagram? What is going on? I haven't seen a single person drop in. I don't reckon I was live. That's what it was. Now we're live. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? If all goes according to plan, that will smoothly and quickly Boolean difference. Now I'm going to find something while that's happening to stop my pen from rolling under my tablet. This still does not seem happy. Something in there is unhappy. There might be some tiny little dag or something in there. Sometimes you just get this one little triangle out of place and it just all goes pear-shaped. There's like bits of green on the thing that are hiding me. They're letting me see through the skull. So in OBS, I've set it up so that the keyboard and video, like this webcam here, is in front of everything. And then I've got mesh mixers next in line, and it's got a green background, but I've deleted green on that layer, so it's not deleting the green on the on this one, but it's deleting the green on where's my finger? That one up there. Geez, that's weird trying to point there. That one. Come on. See, it may just be taking forever as well. These things do. Oh, that's a good sign. That chunked up. It does take a while still at the best of times, but again, like I said before, usually if it's not working straight away, it's a bit of a sign something's wrong. How else could I have done this? I could have... Yeah, it's still not happy. It's a lot less unhappy than it was. Ah, okay, so those weird bits are a problem. As well. Alrighty, back to the pen. Interesting how that's freezing up so much. Sorry if I'm a bit quiet, I'm just concentrating. I'm just going to turn off the symmetry for a minute. So this is taking a little bit of symmetry away, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to be symmetrical enough. Switch to bubble smooth for a sec. Pop the symmetry back on now. I should have done that sooner, but I'll make sure we don't miss any. It's amazing what can go into a sculpture, isn't it? Either I'm doing this the dumb way, or it's an intense process, one of the two. Probably a bit of both. Probably a lot of cases where I could have done with less triangles and I've clagged myself up. Actually, to be fair, I can actually... Oh, slightly smaller. I'm just going to run around. We don't need that internal layer. Come on. You can do this, computer. You are capable. You are more than capable. I might have to... Oh, yes! There we go! Fucking finally. We won't auto-reduce the results. No, that wasn't so hard, was it, computy duty? Hey? That wasn't so hard at all. Why didn't you just do that sooner? Well, son, because you didn't do the right thing earlier. Alrighty, now we have an issue. We need to do some smoothing because there is stuff that is not smooth. We've got a hole that goes through there, that's interesting. Where does that come from? Where does that hole come out? I don't think that's a problem per se. Just going to hide the colours because they are a bit of a distraction. Uh-oh. Mesh Mixer just crashed, and we're back. Okay. I don't know what that tool really does. I'm new to that tool. It's a bit hard to figure out just how it really wants you to use it. What did it just do? Oh yeah. Yeah, it kind of pulled it down to fit it. attract, refinement, turn that up, turn up the adaptivity, that should make it fit better, make sure symmetry's on, probably make it smaller. Let's hide that for a second. Okay, so that's kind of what it's done. Now what I want to do is offset that region inwards. I don't want that area to do that thing. So if I go edit, offset, I'm going to go -1. But then we wanted a smooth transition, so we'll go hopefully that's worked. Just a little bit worried about that little region there. Okay, that was a new tool I never used before, so hopefully that worked. If what I imagined happened just then happened, it's given us a bit of leeway around that bit. Oh, it's almost worked. It's kind of somewhat worked. Let's just hide that again for a sec. At least we know what area we really wanted to do now. Let's just choose a bigger area and offset that. -1, soft transition 3 this time. Let's just pull it right back. Turn those sliders up and see what that does. Sort of just keep in mind that whatever we see here will be seen on the inside somewhere. So we want it to be smooth. Since we're giving ourselves a little bit more leeway, I reckon we can get away with that. I think we've done it. I think we've dodged that little point. Oh, the other thing I could have done is just reduce that bit on the inside there as well. Oh well. Could have just cut the little dongly bit down. So we'll keep it as true to form as original as possible. This is obviously a lot of trouble to go to just for the Wu-Tang thing, but I can easily delete the Wu-Tang bit. Oh, I've made it harder, but anyway, I can remove that and then put my own form in there. So that's cool. Okay, that is better. Yes, I think next time I might just have a better look at the internal structure of the skull and delete some more bits of it in the first place. So hopefully this is useful for people. I'd like to think that I'm doing something useful. Okay, let's try just making our lives a little bit easier by using the reduce tool. Let's have a look and see if it's actually doing anything. I said reduce. Don't think that's really helping much. Ultimately wanting to smooth it. Doesn't seem to have ruined anything there. That's some pretty dang good eye holes. There we go. Wu-tanging it. Now, do we try and delete a hole out of the nostrils as well, or am I just going overboard if I do that? Maybe I should just do sort of like 2 slots. I just realised I've got to cancel this. If anyone's in the stream, let me know. Just say good day. Oh, anybody that joined from Instagram, jump over to YouTube. It's way better from there. It's not just me standing in a puddle. It's actually screen sharing and stuff. So yeah, if you are just joining in from Instagram, well, not 23. We don't want that. Anyway, I've got to cancel that because I meant to duplicate that part first. Did it duplicate? No. No, it did not. Duplicate. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them now. Alright. You and one of them combine. Close your cracks. hide. You. Delete. Don't need 4 of you. Let's try that. Try that. That looks pretty good. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. This will be interesting. Will that work? Oh, geez, it's close. Just got a few little dodgy bits in there. Righto. I think that might have done it. Come on, baby. You can do it. Alright. We did it. Go team. Alright, now let's get some smoothing action happening. Back to the sculpts. And let's go with the robust smooth. I don't know why I keep using the mouse. Bubble smooth that one, just to fatten that sucker up a bit. Might actually even inflate that a little. Alright, I'm just going to wrap this up, guys, because it's almost done, and then I'm going to take my call. And if you're watching, mate, I will call you back in just a sec. I figured I might as well just wrap this up. Alright, I'm a happy camper. That is cool. That is awesome. I'm stoked. I don't know why I haven't got any good shaders in there. Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird that there's bugger all shaders there. Sometimes they just disappear on me and I don't know where they go. I don't get it. Anyway. There we go. Actually, you know what looks really badass is I only just discovered this. It's in analysis. Mesh query. Check this out. It'll look really cool. Oh yeah. I'm just going to pop that in front for a second. It certainly went for a while, that little stream. For doing such a simple thing, it took a while. Now, in hindsight, I'm an idiot because I should have done all of that work before I did the Wu-Tang bit. But I didn't. So now I'm in a situation where if I wanted to do that again, I've kind of got to redo almost the whole thing because I really want the back of the head to have an even thickness. And if I just try and smooth and buff that Wu-Tang bit out, that's not really going to do that for me. But on the whole, I'm happy with that, and I'm going to probably print one. Yeah, I wish I could keep that effect. I'm just going to take a few screenshots. Oops. Got to be happy with that. Let's see if I can't just get those triangles a little bit nicer for printing. And then I'm going to wrap it up. It's going to be all over. Okie dokie. Come on, computer, you can do this. You can do it. You can. You can do it. Yes, you can do it. Now the question is whether the 2mm thick shell that I gave it is going to be enough to close the top of the skull dome over, and what that's going to look like. I'm going to take this off because I'm going to eat some chips. Alright, I'm just going to mute my mic while I make a call. everybody, I'm ending the stream. This thing's taking forever to remesh, and you're only going to see the same thing that you just saw before anyway, so sorry for wasting your time.